Once there was a mother who had a little boy. Every night, he would pick up his toys and brush his teeth and put on his pajamas. And then his mother would tuck him in, and as she tucked him in, she would sing, "My child, as you go to sleep tonight, remember that you are God's. Remember I love you, remember I'm close at hand, and know that you're part of the family of God." And as that little boy grew, he remembered those things that his mother sang to him. He remembered that he belonged to God. He remembered that he was never alone and that he was loved and that he was part of this great, big family of God. Well, that little boy grew up, and he became the father of a little girl. And every evening, that little girl would pick up her toys and brush her teeth and put on her pajamas. And then her father would tuck her in, and as he did, he would sing to her, "My child, as you go to sleep tonight, remember that you are God's. Remember I love you, remember I'm close at hand, and know that you're part of the family of God." Sometimes, when the little girl's grandma was visiting, she would tuck the little girl in, and she would sing that nighttime song to her. And it made the little girl feel warm to know that her father had heard that very same song sung by his mommy, her grandma, when he was a little boy. That little girl grew, and as she grew, she remembered the words of that song that her father and her grandmother sang to her. She remembered that she belonged to God, and that she was loved, and she was never alone, and she was part of that great, big family of God. One day, the girl's father told her that he had some sad news for her. He told her that her grandma had died. He told the little girl that her grandma would not be alive anymore to read to her and play with her. And the little girl tried hard to understand that. Together, they cried, and they told stories about her grandma. Some of those stories made them laugh, and some made them cry even more. They were sad that her grandma had died. The girl was worried about what would happen to her grandma in death. Her father tried to explain resurrection to her. That was hard for both of them to understand. The girl's father said, "Remember, Grandma belongs to God." Friends came and prayed with them and read the Bible with them and told stories and brought them homemade food. And the girl's father said, "Remember, you are part of the family of God." Then the day came for them to bury her grandma, and they went to the cemetery and buried her there at the cemetery. The girl felt sad and a little confused. Her father said, "Remember, Grandma loved you." There was a lot the little girl didn't understand, but she was starting to understand some things. She knew that Grandma belonged to God, and that God would always care for her. She knew that her grandma loved her, and that she loved her grandma. And she knew that they were part of a big family of God, a family that always had been and always would be. And the girl was starting to understand that because of her memories of her grandma would always be close at hand. So, there, standing at the grave of her grandma, she began to sing. My child, as you go to sleep tonight, remember that you are God's. Remember I love you. Remember I'm close at hand, and know that you're part of the family of God.